Hello, driving intelligence community. This is going to be another modernization improvement, specifically focused on comfort on an old vehicle, my 2002 10th Gen F150, but this can be done on old GMC, old Chevrolets, Toyotas, Dodge, whatever you can think of. If you got an older vehicle and you want to quiet it down a bit, this is a good one. So it's going to take a bit of work, but what I want to do is take the headliner out. I've got some leftover Kilmat that just happens to perfectly fit the space underneath this headliner. It's left over from the floor work that I did. I put the Kilmat down here and some closed cell foam that really quieted up the interior cab from the noise coming up above. But there's a lot of noise that comes in from the top, especially if you hear it raining and it just sounds like you're in a tin can. Then you might want to follow this video and try what I'm doing. But to do this, you got to take out a lot of the trim. So that's what I'm going to work on right now. But while I'm at it, and I've got these A-pillar trim out, I'm going to rerun some of this electrical. Again, I don't like all the clutter in here. So I'm going to rerun some of this from my Automotive head unit, a video I've yet to do, up around here into the headliner and have it drop from the top instead of having it come up from the bottom. Let's get started. It took me about 20 minutes to get to this point. I've got this first side of the weather stripping off. I got everything off, the sun visors, the A-pillar trim, the information center at the top, the clothes hooks, and then these panels here, I have to take the belt off the top and then I can just pull these panels away. To get these off, you got to take off this back seat, which is not a fun process. And now I can just pull this whole headliner out the side of the vehicle. All right, so everything is removed in here. Actually, I feel like I'm in a drum because just taking that headliner out causes some reverberation in here. So I'm going to clean this with some alcohol and some Windex to get the ceiling perfectly ready for the Kilmat to go up here. Before I move on, I want to show you how I organize things. I got the headliner on the back of the truck, and I've also got the A-pillars on each side where they belong, the sun visors, the portion of the information center. All the fasteners are laid out there, so it's easy to go back as soon as I want to do the reassembly. I've got a little burn mark here from the previous owner. He was a smoker, and I'm actually seeing with the headliner out that it's kind of dirty, so I'm going to have to do some cleaning. But I found a little trick online that shows how to get rid of a smoker burn on something like the headliner. I'm taking a razor, and I'm going to remove some of the felt on this gently. And then I'm going to take a little glue, put it in there, and stuff that this felt in there to try to cover up that spot. I used a little Elmer's glue, and voila, it's very hard to see. We'll do a before and after photo. Got a text message from my neighbor while I was doing my project. He wanted to let me know he just bought a 2022 Ford Bronco Raptor and asked me to drop by and take a look. This is the same guy that owns a restored F100 I worked on several months back. As I walked up to this Raptor, I wasn't sure if I should be green with envy, consider buying one, or just take pleasure being up close and personal to this amazing vehicle. We can dream, but now back to my project. Stay tuned to my channel. There might be a feature video of this beast sometime in the future. I took the risk of doing a steam cleaning or one of these genies on this thing to see if I can get out some of the stains, and it made a major difference. It's so much brighter, and I'm sure it's going to smell better. But look at the filth in this thing. Here's a better look of what came out of that headliner. That is disgusting. I only went over it once and just lightly scrubbed it. I think I can still see some stains, but it's not as bad as it was. But I only wanted to go over it once because I was afraid I was going to pull up the material. Now in the back it looks okay, but in the front I can see that it's getting a little loose here, so especially on the passenger side for some reason. So I'm going to go ahead and try to glue that down. But I caution you if you want to try to do this yourself, because I don't know, with such an old headliner, if that material will separate. All right, so I've got the Kilmat in. I rolled it out. I've got a roller for this per the instructions to make sure that it's fully compressed against the surface to isolate vibration. So if you guys and gals do this, make sure you always follow that instruction. As you can see here, Ford put these rubber strips here to isolate the plastic on the A-pillar, and then I added more strips here just to isolate it more. So they put their gracious little 2 strips in. I'm actually adding more. And then you can see on this side, I got to clean it up before I put it on here, but this is these are nicotine stains from the previous owner. So you know, smoking does leave some residue. Keep that in mind. I've made a lot of progress. I'm getting ready to put that headliner back in, and I've got a lot of reassembly. But before I do that, I need to fix one thing, and that's this overhead display. I've had this fail on me once before, and it was some solder joints on the circuit board. I got to get to this circuit board to fix it. To start off, I got to take off these 4 star driver screws. Now that it's out, I've got to release these clips, which I've already done. There are 4 clips to keep this sandwiched together and gives me access to the circuit board. It's a little ugly, but you can see where I had soldered or resoldered this. Basically, these resistors lose continuity. And what I did before was just touch them with the soldering iron to re-solder or remelt the solder on this and hopefully correct the continuity issue. So that's what I'm going to do right now. I think I've completed this seriously ugly soldering job. That second resistor just popped off, and then I couldn't hardly get a blob of solder on there, but I think I've got it on now. I'm just going to test it on the vehicle without installing it to see if it's working. Plugged it in, I've got the key on, and it turns out that it was that second resistor, and those ugly solder joints that I just put on there fixed it. So we're good to go. My clean headliner is back installed. My burn marks are all taken care of. You can't see them anymore. But putting the headliner in it's a relatively easy process. It's best with 2 people, but if you want to do it by yourself, this is what I did. I had to put both seats all the way back to get it back in. For some reason, it didn't want to go in as easy as it came out. I sat it on those back quarter trim panels here. The back, I guess you'll call this the C-pillar in the truck. And it just sat on the back of that without having these pushed back in yet. And then I had it sitting on the edges of the A-pillar underneath here. I didn't put this on yet, but underneath this, they're the clips or the metal brackets that hold this, and it was just holding that up in place. So the next thing I did was I put the sun visors on, and starting with these clips, and those held the whole sun visor in place for me to allow it to move into its proper location. I proceeded to put in the sun visors. I put in the dome light, the control panel that now works, and just made sure I put everything back in the way it came out. The weather stripping, of course, slides over the headliner, and then I just reassembled everything. Now, as I also mentioned I ran all those cables that were coming from the Automotive head unit, power cables, my SCTX4. I've done this before. Ran it all the way up to the A-pillar, underneath the sun visor, underneath the headliner. And I also put my mic from the Automotive in the center, so if I got 2 people in the vehicle, they both can talk into the mic. So that's really cleaned it up quite a bit. And as you can see here, I've got the King Ranch seats in. I'm going to put another seat cover here just so that because I take this hiking and I get dirty, I don't want it to mess up the seat. So this one's going to have some protection on it. That one doesn't need it. And you can see the accents I've done on the doors. I'm moving toward the darker interior, the gray, the dark gray instead of the light gray, similar to what's on this console. I'm going to leave the console as it is, but it's really shaped up. It looks great and much more comfortable. And I already took it for a drive with that Kilmat up there, and it is really much quieter. So I do recommend that if you want to quiet your vehicle down, I'll actually put some videos that I've already done about this, but that Kilmat on the roof, really, I mean, that is amazing. It was so noisy knocking on it before. Now it's just really solid. So there you go. More improvements to old trucks. I hope you enjoyed it. Give me that thumbs up. Comment. Let me know what you think about it. What else you think I should do to this truck. See you next time on Driving Intelligence.